Hi, this is Don McAllister and welcome to another Screencasts Online tip video. Well, it's a nice simple tip this week, but one that's really effective and brings me a little bit of joy when I use my iPhone or iPad. Now, as you probably know, the displays on the iPhone and iPad are stunning and are a great canvas for displaying high quality wallpapers. However, I do tend to get bored with the same wallpapers each time, so I created a simple multi-stage workflow that allows me both to collect wallpapers in photos and cycle through them with a simple tap each time I pick up my device. So I'm going to demonstrate this on my iPhone, but the stages are also the same on the iPad as well. But first off, I'm going to go into Photos and I'm going to create a new photo album. And I'm going to call that Wallpapers. So if I just scroll down to the album section, here we go. I only have a few albums set up, but if I go to Albums and then Create a new album, and I'll call this Wallpapers. Now I'm just going to stick to the one album, but you could create multiple albums for different types of wallpapers if you wanted to. But let me just go ahead and say Create for this one. And as you can see, there are no photos in there as of yet. Now, I could add them manually if I wanted to, but what I found the best thing to do is to create a shortcut that allows me to add wallpapers to this album, no matter which application I'm in. Let's switch across to the home screen. I can't see shortcuts on the home screen, so I'm just going to swipe down from the middle. There it is in Siri Suggestions. Go ahead and tap on Shortcuts. Now, I haven't any shortcuts set up on this demo iPhone, so I'm going to go ahead and click on the plus button. So if I go to Search Actions, and then I want to get images from input, so get images, in fact there it is, get images from input, so I can go ahead and click on that one. And then if I click on input, I actually want it to be the shortcut input. So now I tap on Nowhere to select input from, and select Show in ShareSheet, and then say Done. Okay, that's fine. So now this shortcut will appear in a ShareSheet in any application. And then rather than get images from shortcut input, I'm going to get rid of that. In Search Actions, I'm going to say Save. So there we go, Save to Photos. So select that. Now instead of saving to Recents, I can click on here and I can go ahead and say click on Wallpapers. So now if I have an image and I go to my share sheet, I should be able to save that image to Wallpapers. So that's my shortcut done. Let's just say done to that. It's called Save to Photos, which is fine. We might actually change that. Let's change that. I'm going to go here, say rename. We'll call that Save Wallpaper, and then we shall click on Done. And that's fine. So if we come out of here, right, so now we need to go ahead and find a wallpaper that we want to save. Now, I tend to get a lot of wallpapers from social media apps. People are very generous and do tend to share wallpapers. So for this demo, I'm going to go into X, formerly known as Twitter, and I have a couple of posts where people are sharing wallpapers. So we'll take a look at that. So if I go into X, and I have a few posts bookmarked. Okay, so there's some wallpapers here. There's a wallpaper thread here. Let's look at this car. Okay, it looks nice and colourful, nice and crisp. I'm going to go ahead and do a long press on the screen, and it will pop up the standard share sheet. Now you'll notice the top entry there is load in 4K. So you can actually load a higher resolution version of this. It doesn't always appear. Sometimes they're already in 4K. But if I go ahead and say load in 4K, then again do another long press, and then scroll down to the bottom, you'll see there is Save Wallpaper. So if I tap on Save Wallpaper, and then if I come out of here and go into Photos, and there is my Wallpapers album with a single wallpaper in, and that's the car in 4K resolution. So let me show you that again. If I go back into X, let's see this Spider-Man one here. Again, long press on the image. So there's no option to save in 4K, so this is already high resolution. But again, if I scroll down to the bottom, Save Wallpaper, and then go into Photos, back out a level, right, there is my Spider-Man as well. Okay, so what I will do is I'll load another a dozen new photos into here, and then we'll take a look at how we set up our wallpaper on the iPhone. So I've just done a quick scour through Twitter or X, and I found 14 different wallpapers, all various things. Cartoons, nice graphic images, superheroes, etc. So this is where you could, if you wanted to, sort them into separate wallpaper albums, but I'm just going to use the single album. So what we need to do now is to set up our lock screen. So I'm just going to long press on the lock screen, and then we're going to add a new lock screen. Now the wallpaper option we want is Photo Shuffle. So if I go to Photo Shuffle, now there's nature, cities. You can also get people, I think, but my iPhoto library is a bit limited in the number of photos in there. But you'll see also there is an option for album. So if I select album, it defaults to favorites, but I can go ahead and say wallpapers. And then the shuffle frequency, this is what I like to do. I go on here and say on tap. So now when I have the lock screen, I can just tap on it and it will change the wallpaper for me. So let's go ahead and say use album. Okay, now I can add my widgets. Let's say I want to add calendar and cappuccino time. That's fine. And then I've got the option here for natural, black and white, duotone, or color wash. I always tend to have natural, to be honest. I don't know why you might want to change it. But anyway, that's it. We can go ahead. I could change the bottom widgets if I wanted to as well, but we'll just go ahead and say add. Now you can set it as a wallpaper pair, or you can customize your home screen if you want. I tend to leave it as default. So we'll just say set as wallpaper pair. And we'll click on here. And that's my new lock screen. Now, if I tap the lock screen, you'll see each time I tap, the actual image changes. So I can quickly go through all the images in my wallpaper album and find the one that I want. Say I'm in a superhero mode at the moment, so I'll just go ahead and keep that. So every time I go to my phone now, it will come up with this image until I feel the need to change it, in which case, let me just unlock that again, in which case I just tap and I get a different image. So you can find the image that you want to suit your mood, and it's really quite enjoyable to do this. But anyway, as I say, a fairly simple workflow, but can be very, very useful. I get lots of enjoyment from it, so hopefully you will too. But that's it for this week's tip video. We'll be back on Friday with a full video, so we'll speak to you then.